Hi, ETM here. I want to give a huge thank you before we begin. We just passed 100 subscribers. That means that this message is reaching more people who are ready to take back their power. Come, join the movement, escape the manipulation.
They didn't just hijack your story. They conditioned you to believe they were the lead. It starts with a pattern. They break your boundaries, then reward you for making excuses for them. They manufacture emotional dependency, then install a lie so deep it feels like your own thought. They're more important than you. Let's be clear, that was never love. It was a compliance protocol. They used micro-validations and punishments. They trained you to feel safest when pleasing them. They punished independence. They rewarded self-abandonment. It was a behavioral script written to erase your identity, and you didn't even know the pen was in their hand. But here's the truth they never wanted you to figure out. They were never the main character. You were the one who adapted. You were the one who bent and twisted and survived. You were the one managing their chaos like it was your job. You were the one carrying the weight, and you did it without a script. The real lead doesn't need applause. The real lead doesn't need to dominate the room. The real lead endures the plot and evolves. And that's you. They performed. You endured. They acted. You adapted. They controlled the stage. But you carried the story. That wasn't love. That was psychological theater. And the only reason they stayed center stage for so long was because they trained you to sit in the shadows. Not anymore. This is the chapter where you walk onto the stage they told you wasn't yours, and take back the story they tried to erase you from. Because the moment you stop responding to their cues, the show ends, and your real life begins. You weren't passive. You were being conditioned. Every time you second-guessed yourself, that was reinforcement. Every time you apologized for what they did, that was control. Every time you explained your pain and got silence in return, that was tactical invalidation. It wasn't a failed relationship. It was a successful compliance structure. The more you tolerated, the more they rewrote the story, until you believed it was normal to be hurt and then asked to explain your reaction, to be blamed for what you didn't do, to perform just to be treated like a person. They did this on purpose, even if they never said it out loud. Because people who dominate emotionally don't need facts, they need patterns. And once they saw yours, they rewired your nervous system to respond to them like a script. That's what this really was. Not love, not miscommunication, but behavior shaping. They acted out. You managed it. They went cold. You chased. They praised you. You softened. They punished you. You complied. They were writing roles. You just didn't know you were in one. But here's where everything shifts. Because the moment you become aware, you stop being the subject of their conditioning. You become the observer, the analyst, the one who decides what happens next. You're not confused anymore. You're informed. You're not reactive anymore. You're strategic. You're not inside their frame. You're holding the lens. And once you see the system, you don't need closure. You need command. The role they gave you is void. The story they pushed is invalid. And the rules they wrote no longer apply. They thought they trained you to obey, but all they really did was teach you exactly how to break free. They never expected you to wake up, because the system they built wasn't designed to be questioned. It was designed to be lived inside. But now you see it for what it was. Not a relationship, not a bond. A loop where your worth was based on performance. A loop where they got to decide when you were valuable. A loop where your silence meant peace, and your voice meant punishment. You were never meant to survive it. You were meant to surrender to it. And yet here you are, not broken, not erased, not invisible. You're still here, because you were always the constant. They cycled between moods. You stayed. They rewrote the story. You held the truth. They ran. You recovered. They performed. You adapted. They collapsed. You stood. That's not weakness. That's main character energy. That's author energy. That's command. The narcissist was never the plot. They were a detour, an obstacle, an actor playing important, while you were busy carrying the entire narrative. So now it's your move. No more justification. No more giving them stage time in your mind. No more explaining who you are to people who were never listening. You're not here to manage their perception. You're here to own your direction. You're not interested in revenge. You're interested in results. You're not proving anything. You're building everything. And you're doing it without their name in the credits. The show is over. The lights are off. The mask is off. and the story finally belongs to you. Because the moment you stopped defending yourself, you started becoming yourself, and the version of you that no one could control, that's the real lead. Like this video if you're not done reclaiming your story. Subscribe so you're not just surviving, you're learning to dominate your own narrative. Comment, taking back the pen, if you're done letting them write your story. You didn't come here for drama. You came here for clarity. Let's build a mind they can't manipulate.